Hey everybody, it's Melody. This is a video showing how I made a scrapbook layout for my sister-in-law for her daughter to kind of commemorate the first day of school earlier this year. It is Lily's first day of first grade in this picture, and she's super excited. So this pink piece of paper here, I knew I kind of wanted to use it as a frame for my picture, but obviously it wasn't big enough, so I knew I was going to have to cut it in half and then also find a way to piece it together, and we'll get to that a little bit later in the video. But you can see there, it looks like it's going to hold the photo just fine. This kit was, I think, the July Treasurely Kit Club scrapbook kit. It came with a couple of these chipboard pieces here, but I'm a huge fan of chipboard, and even though I say that, I also find myself hoarding my chipboard. So I went back through my chipboard drawer and found a couple of other Treasurely chipboard pieces that I'd been saving for just the right occasion. And these pieces right here are some gears, which really seem like they might be out of place in a girly layout for such a girly little girl. But I had a plan in play, and you'll see when we get to the end of the video that I think it turned out really well, and it really didn't make it feel too masculine or really even too steampunk. It still felt really girly and really glittery. And so here we go with the gesso, just putting a coat on all of these chipboard pieces. This does a couple of things. It really helps your color get in there a little better, but I also knew that I was going to go way overboard with these chipboard pieces and put a ton of layers on them. So I also wanted the gesso on there to kind of help make my chipboard just a little stronger before I just piled tons and tons of medium on them. And a lot of times when I'm doing this with my chipboard, you'll see with this butterfly there, I was taking a little bit more time and making sure I got into all the cracks and crevices. But with chipboard, you get that nice little uh, brown side on the sides of your chipboard, and I like to kind of leave that there so it gives it a little bit more of an aged look and a little bit more of a chic look. And then again, talking about layering mediums on, I knew with the gear pieces that they were going to have just so much work done to them. It was, for the size of the chipboard, a really decent sized canvas, so I knew I was going to get to use a lot of really cool stuff on those. So we've got some sprays here, just a variety, a couple of dilution sprays and a few things from Tim Holtz. And let's get our flowers out of the way so we don't spritz them just yet. And I really just kind of wanted to haphazardly spray a couple of these sprays. Oh, one of my bottles was clogged there, so yeah, had to put that to the side and just kind of dribble with it and paint with it. So now my ink's dried. Got some embossing glaze there, and that was Tim Holtz Distress Embossing Powder before that. And really all I did to figure out what I was going to do with these pieces is I went through my stash of embossing powders to see what I had that I knew would go good with the background paper and what would match well with each other. The embossing glaze was actually more of a teal color, but when it mixed in with the pink embossing powders, it turned into a really cool bluish purple, which turned out to be perfect for the color scheme I was going for. You might notice that every now and then I'll just heat my embossing powder back up and layer another color on the top of it. It's pretty easy to do, especially if you have just a standard embossing powder. If you apply a little bit of light heat to it once it's dried, it'll heat that embossing powder back up, and then you can layer onto a layer of powder that you already have. And I did that a lot with the little swirly piece that I just had out there, which that had the intended purpose and eventually got used as kind of being what I used to cover up the gap between those two pieces of pink paper for the frame. And I know that I've got this video sped up quite a bit. The purpose of that was just to keep the length of the overall video down. But you can kind of see on some of the pieces of chipboard now, you're starting to pick up a little bit of some shimmer, and that's from some foundry wax and some of that embossing glaze. Then every so often, I would just take, like right here, a little bit of alcohol ink and just kind of make some dabs with some extra color. And just really, really wanted to play these up as much as I could with as many mediums as I could. A little extra gesso never hurt anyone. And now we've got some magicals that we're sprinkling on there, as well as some Prima mica powder. And there you can kind of see a little bit of that glimmer from the foundry wax. And just when you thought we were done with the butterflies, nope, we're going to come right back and we're going to use some of that embossing glaze. This was just really such a layered project, and I loved every second of it. Chipboard, again, is so much fun. So this is just a little bit of a Mod Podge here because what is a girly layout without a lot of glitter? I think this is some Renee Bouquet glitter. You can't beat that with a wooden stick. So now we've got some crackle paste. Again, just wanting to add some texture um, to both the butterflies and some of the gears. There's a little bit of that glitter right there. And then on top of that texture paste, I just used some of the same sprays that I'd been using. So we'll put this over on a piece of paper real quick, heat it with the heat gun. Normally I like to let my stuff air dry, but in this case I just wanted to get the project done, so I did that to speed it along. Just hot gluing down some flat pink flowers. Guys, I'd seriously had these flowers in my stash for 12 years, bare minimum. A little bit of white shimmer spray there, and a little bit of pink on top of it to just kind of make the color match the background paper a little better. Little adhesive on the back of these pieces for the frame here, and these are about to go on real nicely on top of the layout itself. So when I put them on, I realized that the color was way too bright for the background, especially with the white shimmer spray that I'd done already. So once I got my little piece of chipboard in there in the middle of it, I decided to hit those pink papers with some of the white shimmer spray. And now here we are at just about my favorite part, the part where we just start putting everything on. And before you think I'm super crazy, just remember there are people out there that use more flowers than I do. So judgment-free zone here, guys. I decided to make these pink flowers really a focal point since I had a whole pack of them. And so I figured that would be helpful to tie everything in together at the end. We're just going to start putting gears, flowers, butterflies, chipboard, some pieces of metal. Those were some metal charms that had some clocks and some other gears on them, but they were pretty girly, so I figured they would fit in with the bigger chipboard gears that I had. So a lot of times I try to figure out exactly where I want everything to go on my layout before I begin gluing it down. And if that works for you, it's great, but I've found that it doesn't work for me. I wanted to throw these yellow flowers in here for a little bit of contrast. And so I just set them off to the side. You can see them there next to those pink flowers as well. And everything's just kind of going on haphazardly, but really just where it seems to fit for the layout. But you've got to pick what works for y'all. For me, just kind of going with the flow and hoping for the best is great. 90% of the time, I finish a layout, take a picture of it, put it online, and 2 days later, find something on my desk that I really meant to go on that layout. But it never seems to go back on the page the same way that I had it when I planned it. So this is my process, and hopefully everyone else has their own as well that makes them just as happy. A couple of butterflies there. Those smaller circles that I'm gluing down now, those kind of had some sparkly jewels and whatnot on them. So just some little bling to put on there and maybe make a 6-year-old girl smile at the end of the day. And of course, I decided that I didn't have enough flowers on here, so we had to add some more flowers. Now I'm taking that same white shimmer spray and I'm just kind of using it to splatter some white shimmery spots on my flowers. Adding a few more embellishments here. Just random things that I found hanging around that looked like they would fit in this. Oh no, we didn't have enough flowers, so just decided I'd open that pack up a little bit more, add some more shimmery paint splatters, and here in a second we'll glue down just a handful more flowers. Don't be surprised if I either open another package of flowers or maybe add some off camera. And there's that. And now we're going to take the backs off of the dots and glue those down. And there you have it. There is our finished layout. We're going to have some close-ups here. There's some of those white shimmery splatters on the flowers. A close-up of the gears. You can see that embossing glaze really well in that picture. And some of the foundry wax there on one of the chipboard butterflies. And a little close-up of that swirly piece of chipboard, which of course is mostly hidden by the picture. So thanks so much for watching. I hope y'all really enjoyed watching this, and I hope you're inspired.